All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we're going to move down to Section 2, and this will be the approval of the agenda. 2.1, changes to agenda and approval of agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move it.
Dr. White makes a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second, Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So school board members, if you don't mind, go down to Section 7, and we're going to go to 7.3 real quick. And this is the quarterly progress report of the Sales Tax Citizens Oversight Committee. And this is going to be presented by Jason Belcher. So Mr. Belcher, if you would come forward, please.
Members of the board, thank you. I'm Jason Belcher. I'm here as the chairman of our Citizens Oversight Committee for the half-cent sales tax. I'd like to first just say that we've been very pleased with the information we've been receiving on the results of the campaign so far. I'll give you a little rundown of what we've done since the last time I was here. I believe it was April 11th last time I was here. We've met twice as a committee since then. I believe those dates were May 10th and July 12th. Pardon me. I need bifocals, but I'm too proud to get them. I'd like to report that the composition of our board has not changed. At our last meeting, I mentioned that we had our former chairman roll off and we had added some new board members. The composition of the board has remained the same, and that consistency has helped us build up a level of understanding, which has been very good. I think some of our questioning at our meetings has been very direct. And as representatives of the citizens, it's our job to relay any concerns that we may have, which have been minor at best, and to get a better understanding of the projects and their priorities and how the monies are being spent as another way of as a safeguard or stewardship of the sales tax dollars as they relate to these capital projects. We've been very pleased with the collection so far. For the sake of those in the room and for anyone who doesn't have these figures in front of them, we're about $10.5 million ahead of what we had for appropriations, which is very good. That doesn't mean necessarily that we have the ability, or the district or the board has the ability to exceed those numbers, but it has helped you accelerate some of the projects, which we have been very pleased to see occur under the good stewardship of Jacobs Titan. Mr. Joel's in the room, so I wanted to make sure that I relayed that we've been pleased with the information we've been getting from them as well as they represent the school board. But Joel, you can't say anything about that now, okay? Y'all have to run scared every day, okay? All right. The capital outlay so far for 22, as of our last meeting, we were, Ms. Julie presented us with some schedules along with Mr. Horton that we're at $16.8 million in projects through 22 as far as capital outlay related to the half-cent sales tax. And of that, or not of that, but in addition to that, we have $5.5 million in certificates of participation for some of our larger projects, especially the cafetoriums that the school board and the district have been so good about accelerating for some of our schools and need the additional space and the flexibility of the new space. Each meeting, I'll just say this, that we get a review of the financial updates on the collections and how monies are being spent, both from Miss Julie Perry and from Steve Horton, and that's been very beneficial to our group, to our committee. Mr. Joel, as I mentioned earlier, along with Mr. Horton, always gives us an update on the projects. We follow that very closely. The great thing about the committee is it's made up of representatives from throughout the county who have vested interest not only in the county-wide, a rising tide raises all boats, but specifically in their areas where they live. And so it's very nice to hear the input from the folks from the north end of the county, along with the south end of the county, the midsection. That's what I have too much of, midsection. But it's good to have that kind of feedback and oversight, and it really helps our committee. And it also helps to see how I believe, and we believe as a committee, I think I represent the committee in this, that the priorities, the way that they were filtered from the schools themselves and then from the district as far as what they know to be high priorities for the school system, has been placed first and foremost, especially the hardening of the entrances and the safety and security measures. Unfortunately, in other states, they've had issues with that, and I've been very pleased that we've been getting feedback about those projects progressing extremely well, and I'll leave it at that. But at each meeting, we get that along with the financial update. Steve always has a discussion of priorities for us, which is great. I mentioned that. And then generally what you'll see is some comments and questions from our committee relating specifically to how these monies are being, how they're being spent. We know how they're being spent because they're being spent in accordance with the promulgated legislation. But the truth of it is we like to get down in the details. We have some folks from varying backgrounds, from IT, from military, business. Some are just good moms and dads who are part of the committee. They're asking some good questions about how inflation is affecting projects going forward. How difficult is it to obtain materials? Has it affected labor costs? And we pleased so far with, and again, Joel, don't tell this to anybody, pleased so far with Joel's feedback on how they're pricing out and using the scale of these projects and their ability to price to obtain not only priority when it comes to getting certain projects done that are necessary, especially for safety, but taking advantage of pricing. And so that's been good, and the ability to accelerate projects with the additional, not the additional, but with the accelerated budgeted collections versus budgeted collections. I know that the board's been, or the district's been able to accelerate some projects. So as a representative of the citizens and the committee that's here to represent the citizens, we've been very pleased with the results so far. We believe the oversight's been very good, and I know I speak for the committee to say that as a whole, we've been extremely pleased and congratulate you on the success so far, and know that it will continue, and we'll be there to make sure we give our 2 cents in hopes that it does. And that's all I have. Any questions for me?
I think any questions?
No?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank y'all,
Pass
yeah.
that to you.
And thank y'all for being flexible about my schedule.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why y'all schedule a meeting on a night when I have a meeting, but I do appreciate y'all. Thank you.
And Mr. Belcher,
Thank you,
but before
Jason.
you do leave, I do want to thank you for your leadership and just also for the Citizens Oversight Group. One of the things that we talked about, when you look at capital as a whole in Okaloosa County, it's been historic in terms of what has been happening over the
Absolutely.
last number of years. And you think about, like he alluded to, single point of entry, 3 years ahead of schedule.
Yes.
Looking at roofs, looking at HVAC, looking at paving, looking at these different projects that have occurred, some of the things with some of our athletic facilities, but then looking at what's about to come, which I know many people are excited about, you know, the classroom additions, the cafetoriums, the multi-purpose buildings. We haven't had construction, so to speak, or this type of renovation in a long time. So what you all are overseeing, we're very grateful. And Mr. Horton comes back and gives many updates. Ms. Perry does as well, so we appreciate those questions, even the tough ones. But also, what I think is important, what this has allowed us to do is do what we talked about 2 years ago, and looking at the growth in this county.
Absolutely.
And look at
Addressing that.
when the need is to build new schools. And this is a part of that plan as well. And I think what we will see a little bit later on is Mr. Horton will give a little bit of an update during my time on new school construction as well. But again, just want to thank you, Mr. Belcher, for your leadership of this group.
Listen, it's an easy committee to serve on because it does so much good. It does so much good. I know that as a longtime Destin Chamber member and as the incoming chairman, the state chamber has drawn a direct correlation between third grade reading levels and income. And we know that how important it is for our kids and those of us, even folks like me. I have no children. I have no children that's been through our system, but I know I have a vested interest in it, and so do the other committee members. We appreciate that. One other thing, Mr. Chambers, that we both forgot to mention was the removal of all those portable buildings. I don't think some of the raccoons had to be displaced to go somewhere else. So, thank y'all.
When is the next meeting?
Good question. I have it written
September
down. I believe it's
13th.
the
Oh, wait,
13th of
September
September.
13th.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Does that sound right, Mr. Jeff?
Yes, sir.
13th of September?
That's
Yes,
it.
sir. Yes, sir.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Somebody hit Jeff on the back of the head. 13th of September, that sounds right. Okay, that's good.
Thank
Just
you.
play it,
Thank
Jeff.
you, Mr. Belcher.
Thank y'all very much.
Okay. All right, so now we'll move down to Section 3. We have no recognition. Section 4, no visitors tonight. And real quick, we're going to have some administrative personnel appointments. We do have public hearing at 6:15, so I would ask that we're going to do the first appointment, and then we're going to go into public hearing, and then we're going to go back to the second appointment. But I ask that everybody please stay seated until after we do the second appointment, just out of respect for those people. So now we'll go 5.1 will be the appointment of Assistant Principal 1, 12-month, Crestview High School. Mr. Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant, School Board. And I do want to say just on the outset, you'll see that Mr. Harvell is here this evening, and Mr. Sanders is over at Crestview High School. They do have open house tonight, but we do have Mr. Harvell, who we're glad to see here, as well as some other folks from Crestview as well. And I bring before you Miss Kimberly Sears. Ms. Sears has been an Okaloosa County School District educator for 23 years. She graduated from the University of West Florida in 1999 with a degree in elementary education and went on to get a master's degree in educational leadership and policy studies in 2020 at the University of Texas, Arlington. Throughout her years with Okaloosa County, she has taught kindergarten, first and second grade, elementary and middle school PE, and served as a TSA in guidance. Most of her years were spent at Southside Elementary and Davidson Middle School, but she also spent time at Longwood, Florosa, and Kenwood Elementary. She's coached basketball, tennis, and dance. Ms. Sears served last year as the TSA in guidance at Crestview High School. Ms. Sears and her husband, Troy, have been married for 16 years. They have 4 children, Brittany, Hunter, who are both graduates from the University of West Florida, Trace, who is currently training as a combat controller in the United States Air Force, and Ryder, who is using his ServSafe certificate as a line cook at the Wild Olive. If you've ever eaten there, that's good stuff. Her oldest 3 children are graduates from Crestview High School, and her youngest is still attending Crestview High School. Ms. Sears is very passionate about being a Crestview Bulldog along with her 4 children. Ms. Sears.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chambers. And with that, I need a motion to approve item 5.1, the appointment of Kimberly Sears, Assistant Principal 1, 12-month at Crestview High School. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move it.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Ms. Evancheck. Any other discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And the motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Ms. Sears.
Okay, so when I came in today and I was getting out of my car, the rain, my speech dropped in the rain. So sometimes it's good to just come from the heart. So first I want to start off by thanking Chairman Bryant and the rest of the board members and Mr. Chambers. And I would also like to thank Sheila Lightborn and Mr. Horton and Mr. Dr. Hale. Thank you for training me through the Level 2 program. It's really made a difference in getting me ready for this journey that I'm about to go on. I also want to give a shout out to my administrator, Jay Sanders. He has provided me with the guidance and just giving me opportunities to grow and learn as a leader, and I cannot be thankful enough to him. There's one more administrator that has really guided me along the way, and that's Miss Seegers. She started over at Davidson with me, and she has just been a great role model in my life and helping me take this each step of the way. She's just right there with me and guiding me. I would also like to thank my family and my friends. They have really been there and supported me. My husband is my #1 fan, and he has really just, anytime I've had to switch offices or I needed something done up at the school, he's there. And so he is also part of an educator in his own way. My kids, all 4 of them, which Mr. Chambers told you about, they provide me with the love and the inspiration that makes me want to make them proud. So I can't be thankful enough for their guidance. I also want to thank Crestview High School's, the whole team at Crestview High School, the admin team, the parents, the students, the faculty and staff there. They really are like family to me. I love working with them. This last year has been one of the greatest years in my 23 years as an educator, and I look forward to working every day with them. Like they say, once a bulldog, always a bulldog. So thank you.
Family as well, absolutely.
All right, board members, if you would, please go down to section 17, and we're going to go into public hearing. 17.1 is a public hearing for adoption of revised school board policies, Chapter 8, Personnel Instructional, as presented by Dr. Lee Hale. Is there anybody here from the public wishing to address item 17.1? Hearing and seeing none, I need a motion to approve item 17.1.
Move it.
Dr. White makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. 17.2, public hearing for adoption of revised school board policies, Chapter 9, Personnel Administrative Managerial, presented by Dr. Lee Hale. Is there anybody from the public here wishing to address item 17.2? Hearing and seeing none, I need a motion to approve item 17.2.
I move it.
Ms. Evancheck makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. So now we'll go back up to 5.2. 5.2 will be the appointment of specialist student services. Mr. Chambers, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. School Board, I bring before you Dr. Zoila Ganuza. Dr. Ganuza was born in El Salvador, from where her family moved to Minnesota when she was 3 years old. As a result of her parents' sacrifices, Dr. Ganuza received a scholarship to attend a college preparatory high school, which influenced her acceptance to Beloit College in Wisconsin. In college, Dr. Ganuza played soccer, majored in psychology, and minored in Spanish. After college, she attended the University of Minnesota and earned a PhD in educational psychology and specialized in school psychology and disability policy and services. Dr. Ganuza met her husband Seth in Minnesota and moved to Okaloosa County in 2011 as he enlisted in the Army after serving 4 years in the Marine Corps. Since January 2012, Dr. Ganuza has worked as a nationally certified school psychologist for our school district. In addition to completing bilingual evaluations across the district over the past 10 years, she has been assigned to Longwood, Pryor, Choctaw, Elliott Point, Antioch, Childfind, Wright, and Lewis. Dr. Ganuza helped develop the first MTSS manual, has participated in all manual updates, and has trained school counselors, teachers, and administrators on MTSS. Additionally, she has worked with MIS to develop the progress monitoring plans that our district has used to document interventions. Dr. Ganuza has consistently worked with the ESE department to update the process of the identification of disabilities. She has been on a board of the Florida Association of School Psychologists for 5 years, which advocates for the field of school psychology and provides support to districts across Florida on current and new changes to ESE procedures, eligibilities, and statutes. Dr. Ganuza.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. With that, I need a motion to approve 5.2, the appointment of Zoila Ganuza. I know I have a hard time pronouncing that, just like she says Chick-fil-A. So, to student services, do I have a motion to approve?
I would like to make that recommendation.
Okay, Miss
Gardner.
Gardner. I know. Ms. Gardner, you make the motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Second, Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Congratulations.
You said it right. I just want to thank everyone. Thank you, school board members, Mr. Chambers, for your confidence in me, as well as Mr. Horton, Ms. Lightbourne, and Dr. Hale. I especially want to thank Ms. Ard, Ms. Schroeder, and Ms. Lamb for just believing in me and everything that I plan to do. I'm very excited. My goal is to ensure that we implement our problem-solving model across the district in a consistent way. I think it's very important to support schools, to include families, parents, and staff. I want to increase student outcomes, positive student outcomes, increase those by ensuring the implementation of interventions and especially the evaluations of students when we suspect disability. So I just really want to thank you, everyone, for your confidence again, and my family for supporting all my crazy endeavors, and thank you, everyone that's here to support me, especially some of our school psychologists. Thanks again.
All right, congratulations.
Hey, come over here. Dad, you come over
Maybe
here.
take a step back and some get on the stage. Some y'all get on the stage behind.
Come
Good.
Tracy, I didn't know Tracy.
Sure you can see the camera here. Perfect. We'll Photoshop it on one. Good, good. One more.
Thank you. I like that angle.
All right, we're going to have a 1-minute little recess and let everybody that's here for promotions, they can go ahead and move on. And we'll just come back in just a minute there. So. We'll go down to section 6, and this is public comment. 6.1, members of the public desire to address the school board from Form MIS 5241, public input and/or discussion of agenda items. Mr. McInnes?
Yes, sir. The rules tonight are taken from the back of the blue card. They're printed here and approved by the school board. And these is the highlight of some of these rules. Visitor speakers will be allowed 4 minutes speaking time. And visitors and speakers should state their name and address for the record before beginning the presentations. Remarks and statements shall be addressed directly to the chairman when possible to do so. All questions should be directed to the chairman, as this is a meeting of the school board. Personal attacks against officers and personnel shall be excluded from presentation or discussion. Items pertaining to personnel matters are under the responsibility of the superintendent and are not routinely heard before the board, and visitors and speakers and the public attending the meeting are requested to act in a respectful manner.
All right. And with that, we have 2 blue cards tonight, and the first would be Mr. Craig Marion. Mr. Marion, if you would please come to the podium. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Craig Marion, address in Niceville on file. Last school board meeting, we came here and tried to discuss a matter involving a school board member defaming our daughter during her campaign for re-election, and also misusing her position to obtain records to lend credibility to her false accusations. We were told we could not discuss those issues because they did not take place on school or district property. On July 28th, I attempted to schedule a meeting to discuss these matters with my school board representative, Diane Kelly. The next day, she returned my email and stated that she would meet with me and set up a time the following week. She never did, and never set up a time with me, and again left with no ability to discuss this. Since that time, we've received a signed letter of an apology from the superintendent, and thank you very much, that a FERPA violation had taken place within the district, and the district was attempting to retain the records illegally disseminated, presumably by Dr. Kelly, as the letter references Crestview Community Television, and that coincides with the records request we have where our daughter's information was sent via text by Diane Kelly. On July 25th, during the last school board meeting, Diane Kelly stated on school district property, in response to my stepson's request, where his sister was found at fault. Diane Kelly responded, both of those are public records and both of those will indicate statements I said. Our family has a pending records request to obtain, that came in earlier today, to obtain any and all school district records that could support Diane Kelly's statement. As an elected official, made on her campaign trail or in her official campaign capacity in a business meeting. That PRR was completed today. You may be aware, but Mr. Chairman, after our meeting last week, I met with the superintendent, did public records request, and he assured me that there is no school district document that would support an allegation that my daughter was at fault. Do you agree with that statement? Sorry, you can ask him. I have. So there you have it. So I request the record show that District 5 Representative Diane Kelly's statements be flagged as false. She made them here in official capacity in a meeting on school district property and again defamed my daughter. My stepdaughter then tried to come up and address her personally. I tried to review her comments, but the audio was shut off. This is a violation of your own protocol and decorum and ethics at school board meetings, specifically item M, school board meetings are videotaped and recorded. What policy allows the school board to shut the audio off to the public? Who directed cutting off the audio to the public? I guess more importantly, is that a violation of the Sunshine Law? How come the school board chooses to enforce some policies, specifically the ones that shut down their electorate, but fail to follow them themselves? Rules for thee, but not for me, I guess. You sit here and look down your noses at the people you're supposed to represent. It's un-American. Last meeting at the 1 hour and 1 minute point, I was addressing the misuse of authority by a district employee, the use of private records by Diane Kelly in her Crestview Community Television political campaign, and that resulted in the reference letter from the superintendent acknowledging the mishandling of her daughter's records. But Dr. Kelly interrupted me and stated that I was hijacking our business meeting and it is only taking up many minutes of our meeting for a campaign plug. She went on to say, it's a campaign message during our business meeting. Ironically, it was Ms. Kelly who was making campaign plugs during the meeting in a shameless attempt to cover up previous indiscretions, which further damaged our daughter's reputation, our family name, and giving her a leg up in the political
15
campaign.
seconds, Mr. Chairman.
The record needs to be set straight right now, right here. Yesterday, a neighbor came and asked my daughter if our daughter was found at fault as a result of the movie. There is massive disinformation in this community, and I would assume there are teachers, probably in this front row here, that have an inaccurate understanding of the situation.
Thank you,
My
Mr.
daughter
Marion,
has to
your time.
enter this school in 36 hours.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you.
I'll be back.
All right, and our next blue card is Miss Cara Marion. Miss Marion, if you would please come to the podium. Good evening.
Cara Marion, my address is on file. I live in Niceville. This past October, former board member and Superintendent Don Gates did a fireside chat with his son, Congressman Matt Gates. In this chat, Don Gates stated he was the angry parent at board meetings, lodging his complaint. This is what he said ignited him to action to run for school board and later for superintendent. I can relate. In this chat, Don reminds us, and I quote, "Fierce debate, even angry debate at public meetings is the steam release valve in a democracy. When you take away the public square, you chill democracy." I often use a quote that says, accountability, it's not only what we do, but it's also what we do not do for which we are accountable. Last meeting, all 6 of you elected members of this board, to include the superintendent, failed to protect the citizens from government infringement on their free speech and instead became the domestic enemy they themselves swore to protect and defend us citizens from. Respect our constitutional form of government. It is a timeless principle in a civil society which is foundational and essential to preserving liberty. Our constitutional restrains abuse of power. You all exemplified at the last meeting exactly why the Constitution is in place, to protect us citizens from government, of which you all are, from infringing on any of our inalienable rights, free speech being the first one enumerated in our Bill of Rights. It is your duty and responsibility to uphold your oath, to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and it is my duty as a citizen to hold you accountable to do so. Every single one of you elected officials failed to uphold your oath by exercising inaction, sitting silent while the attorney and chairman infringed on our free speech, limiting what we could talk about. Only school district issues is what you said, stopping me and all of my family in the middle of our speech from reading our prepared statements and requests, and going further and having our microphones muted during portions of our speech and that of my daughter. You all have failed as every single one of you elected members allowed the infringement of our First Amendment right. You failed as public servants who are to serve us. Remember, we do not serve you. Last school board meeting, this entire elected government followed the legal advice of one unelected individual, Attorney Jeff McGinnis. Mr. McGinnis and his entire board prejudged me, my husband, my children, before we even spoke a word. I think that reminds me of the book 1984. The chairman, Mr. Bryant, presumptively categorized what he himself thought me and my 3 family members were going to say as attacking a board member. 2 things thus far have resulted from that meeting. Mr. Chambers assured me and my husband that there were 0 documents produced as a result of our son Aiden's PRR request that evening for reports that show that our daughter was found at fault for anything. She was never even investigated. Second, this letter was sent to me by Mr. Chambers after we requested at that meeting to have him look into how it was that Diane Kelly was able to secure unredacted copies of 2 reports with multiple minor children's names and statements, not just mine, those statements on them. Thank God me and my family fought to have our voices heard here that evening and not be censored and infringed upon. In closing, I hope you all take more than a moment to reflect upon your actions and your inaction and reread your oath of office you each swore to. I took that same oath. I swore to it as an enlisted airman and then as a commissioned officer in the Air Force who served honorably this country for over 20 years. You may not have sacrificed or lost friends like I have,
15
or
seconds,
comrades
Chairman.
like we have, but the oath should still mean the same for you all. Take some time to reflect, I ask you, please, on those who went before you, who laid it all on the line, giving their lives as the ultimate sacrifice to secure those rights and liberty freedoms.
Thank you, Ms. Marion.
I have a question. Did we mute mics?
So thank you, Ms. Gardner, because I was going to address that.
Okay, well, and go
Um,
ahead and address what you need to.
No, I appreciate it, and I will say it was brought to my attention after the board meeting that there was some muting that occurred during that last board meeting. I'll be very honest, at the beginning, I thought it was technical difficulties, but we found out that we did have an employee who did mute the volume. Once I found that out, I did take action with that employee supervisor, and we also took action in terms of with that employee. And going forward, something like that would not happen again.
Is there a policy that's going to be in place, or how will that, knowing that this is live?
Well, I have a question
Okay,
along those
okay.
lines, if Mr. Chairman, if
Yeah.
I might be recognized.
Oh,
Now,
Sorry.
when I served in the capacity of the chairman, and that was some time ago, and thankfully Mr. Bryant now fulfills that role, I am not aware of any device here at the board table that allows the board to mute any mic. Is that correct? Right.
Yeah, and to be very clear, the school board members had nothing to do with any actions being muted. This was the sole decision of an employee, and again, that has been rectified and should not have happened.
Okay, that's all. I didn't mean to interrupt, but
Oh, no. I just,
line of my experience, I couldn't remember any device that might be available, and I was just curious and wanted to verify there
I
was
just-
nothing
And
since.
one other
Right.
important note is the full recording is there now.
Okay, I was going to ask, is there
And it
any
can
way to?
be, and it can be ascertained from the school board secretary.
okay, like I said, knowing that this is live, and it was mentioned, did we have policies in place? But I think you just covered that.
So in our
No muting.
archives where we have that, the full version is there. On the website, you know, how we put our.
You can go back.
You can get that, right?
Mr. Horton, will you come up?
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. There's a note on that live stream video at the beginning of it that says, for a full audio recording, please contact Jan Crawford or the Public Records Office for that. So it's available. It's not embedded into the video because the volume was turned down for portions of it. So the video is available upon request.
The audio, you mean?
I'm sorry, the audio. Yeah, the
Audio.
video's there. The audio is available.
Okay, so it's just an audio, oh, you can get an audio piece. I
Yes, ma'am.
gotcha. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Ms.
Thank you
Gardner?
for addressing it and quickly, swiftly correcting that
I'm
situation.
very confident that won't happen again.
I
Well,
trust you,
I
yes.
have just a
Yes, sir. Go
follow-up.
ahead.
So I think that we also, in addition to the video, I think we make an audio recording. Is that right?
Right.
And I think Mary's doing that. So I think that's what the superintendent is referencing?
Correct.
Is the tape that Mary makes? All right. So then that's archived and we
It
don't?
is.
All right,
Right.
all right. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so now we're to section 7, and this was workshop Thursday. 7.1 was in-county travel paid for the period of July 7th through the 20th, 2022. 7.2 was out-of-county travel paid for the period of July 7th through the 20th, 2022. And then Mr. Belcher, we allowed him to speak at the beginning of the meeting. So now we're to section 8, consent agenda. 8.1 will be the approval of the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve.
Move it.
Dr. White makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Second, Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So now we'll move down to section 9, and this is Superintendent's Human Resource recommendations, 9.1 and 9.2, information only. So now we'll move to 9.3, addendum to the master contract between the School Board of Okaloosa County and the Okaloosa County Education Staff Professionals. I need a motion to approve, please.
Move it.
Ms. Gardner makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Ms. Vancheck. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 9.4, request to double fill the principal, Okaloosa Technical College. I need a motion to approve.
Move it.
Ms. Gardner makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second,
Go
Dr.
ahead.
White. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 9.5, cleared certification requirements and issuance of contracts for the 2022 through 2023 school year. Need a motion to approve.
I'll move it.
Ms. Vancheck makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 9.6, out-of-field report for the 2022 through the 2023 school year. I need a motion to approve, please.
I'll move it.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Dr. White. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 9.7, employment separations. Need a motion to approve.
I'll move it.
Ms. Vancheck makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries 5-0. 9.8, personnel recommendations. I need a motion to approve.
Move it.
Dr. White makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Second, Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 9.9, employee transfers. Need a motion to approve, please.
Move it.
Ms. Gardner makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Second, Ms. Vancheck. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And finally, 9.10 is leave without pay. I need a motion to approve, please.
I'll move it.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Dr. White. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Section 10 is discussion agenda. We had no items that were moved. And Section 11 is construction program owners representatives business. And Dr. Kelly, I'll turn it over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did have a great meeting this morning, and I will do my best to give you the update on that. So we'll start with Task Order 2 and Phase 2 of Task Order 2. Antioch, there was a change order, if you remember from last time, for the aluminum fencing. It took about 6 to 8 months for that fencing material to come, but that has arrived and that work is completed. And Edge Elementary, just next door, you'll be pleased to know that the permanent doors that are of the period, matching the custom look of that school and its historical age, Those doors were custom made, they are installed, and they look great. I would invite you to go by and look because that really does give a finishing touch to the school. Phase 3 of Task Order 2, Flores' parking lot is paved and striped in time for their open house, and they just like some cleanup and landscaping and one small fence section. Northwood still has a fair amount of work to be done, but that would be wrapped up as well before the students get here. The point of this final phase 3 is that the wrap-up of single point of entry will be complete and operational at all campuses by the time the students arrive. So that's good news. Task Order 4, you may remember, was the Baker and Pryor kitchen renovations. Baker, as you know, has been completed and no issues there. The Pryor Middle School kitchen renovation, the final drawing for the new plumbing and the lift station arrived, and the architect now will complete the drawing for the remainder of that work. Then we'll get the new slab and go forward with the new pipes, and that, of course, is the infrastructure for the remainder of that work. That brings us down to Task Order 9, which is complete. Task Order 11, as you know, is complete. Task Order 12. All of Task Order 12 will be bid out and begun by the end of this year. The first bid packages were for the elementary cafetoriums that were let, and those will have the formal meetings with the principals as soon as school gets underway. We didn't want to start that before we got the first day of school with our students under our belts. Ruckle and Plew are set to be bid mid to late September. The pavilions at Wright and Baker, we're working now with the principals for the location and the correct placement of those pavilions. Edwins, as you may know, is getting 2 new parking lots and the drop-off pickup area. As you know, if you've been on that campus, if you're a visitor, it's sometimes hard to distinguish how to go in, so they are looking at some rebranding as they develop a canopy new entrance there, so everyone is excited about that. That moves us to Task Order 13, Time and Materials, and the architects still have that work underway for phases 1, 2, and 3 of a consolidation of district services here at the Central Admin Complex. That brings us to Task Order 14. That was the Fort Walton Beach Boys Field House, and y'all know from last time that is complete with no issues. Everybody's very happy there. Task Order 15, the gym floor replacements at Davidson and Crestview as well as Lewis. All 3 floors are finished, but the ADA ramps at Davidson and a little cleanup at Crestview. And if you haven't seen those floors with the new logos, they are beautiful. Small projects, but they make a huge impact to the schools. That brings us to Task Order 16, the roofing and canopy projects at Chattahoochee High School and at Lewis. Phase 1, we're just waiting, sounds like a broken record, but waiting again on the metal. Everything is dried in and just awaiting those materials at Choctaw. At Lewis, things are going well, and by the end of this month, we anticipate that all of that work will be done. Phase 2, the front entries at those 2 schools, they've just received the drawings for them, and they're meeting with the principals shortly, and then that GMP should be coming before us. Task Order 17, a broken record again. We are still waiting for the metal pricing to come down there because we hope to have some savings instead of paying that outrageous price right now. Task Order 18, time and repairs for the soffit at Dustin Elementary School. Everything is done there but the downspouts, and that should be completed before school starts for the students. Task Order 19, that's Richburg School Building renovation on Building 12. The preliminary floor plans have been received and they've been reviewed with the principal, and that plan developing is continued. That brings us to Task Order 20. They are reviewing those now and developing a GMP, and that should be coming forward to us soon, with Longwood likely the first one, as we know they've been priority for some time. And Task Order 21, we just said Longwood Elementary School classroom renovation, so we're done there. That brings us to additional topics, and I was so glad to see our friend Jason Belcher coming tonight to address us with the meeting update for the Citizens Oversight Committee. And as stated during his presentation, the next Citizens Oversight Review Committee meeting is September the 13th at 4 o'clock here in this room. And that completes it for me.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, Dr.
much.
Kelly.
Appreciate
I
your
have a
time and
question,
attention.
and this may not be the right time to do this, but visiting a couple of schools, and I see Mr. Linder still here, the single point entries, those really do look very, very nice. Has there been any thought of our larger schools, and I'm not sure about middle school and high school, but thinking of elementary right now that are 800-900, close to 1,000. I know there's 2 sign-in computers right now. Any possibility, thought that maybe at least one more, that to kind of help that process of those parents coming in, and
That hasn't come to our committee
maybe
yet.
not, this may not be the time, but.
That's okay. We
No,
can-
I think it's always good to ask questions. No, I have not heard concerns as to backlogs or things that's happening with parents. I know the goal is to have a single point of entry.
Exactly.
So we have control, so to speak, of who's coming and going. But I think we're always flexible that if we do need to adjust.
Maybe one
we
more, at
would do
least
so.
one more. You know, when there's 160, 170, 180 in a grade level, and you have a play or something going on at first. And I know at first part of the school year, it's going to be a bottleneck right there, but as time goes, just a thought that was asked, and I said I would put a bug in somebody's ear, whoever
Yeah,
wants
well,
that bug.
As you know, we are always amenable to looking at those situations and adjusting as need be.
Okay, good, thanks.
Any other questions? All right, so we'll move down to Section 12, Information Technology Seat Management Contract. We have no business tonight. Section 13, Attorney's Business. Mr. McInnes, I'll
No
turn it over
report.
to you. No report? Okay, Section 14, Superintendent's Business. 14.1 is out-of-state student trip request, and 14.2, I know since you were not here Thursday, you probably have a few things that you'd like to say today. So, Mr. Chambers.
Actually, I will be brief, but I appreciate you all understanding. Moved my daughter in over in college, and have my son actually coming out the end of this month. So busy time of the year, but as you know, school starts Wednesday. I do want to thank not only our principals for the work that they do in terms of getting ready for the start of school, but as you know, custodians, support staff, our maintenance and facilities at the district level. People will often say, you know, do you work during the summer, whether it be administrators, whether it be 12-month folks. And as you know, a lot of work occurs over the course of the summer. You think about what happens in human resources. Those folks have been on fast forward now for about 3 months and making sure that we have appropriate staff hired, all the applicable laws are maintained in terms of making sure that we get folks. Then you look at finance in terms of ending one fiscal year and starting another, personnel, hirings. So much has happened over the course of the summer. I'm just proud. Our curriculum instruction staff getting prepared for new standards, new assessments, getting back to a professional development model. So again, a lot has happened, and I just could not be prouder of the work that our team has done. And the schools, they're always a better place when our students and our teachers and staff are back. I've had the fortunate ability to go around a number of schools over the last number of days, and I'm very happy to see teachers and staff who really and genuinely seem excited to be back and get back with their students. I truly believe that this is going to be a great school year, and looking forward to great things to come. So thank you, Mr. Bryant and board.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. So now we'll move down to Section 15, and this is board members' announcements and requests for information. And Ms. Gardner, I'll start with you tonight.
Thank you. First of all, I don't want to take someone's thunder away from her, but just congratulate STEM, and you can explain that. But to our students, our faculty, our staff, but also our parents, that incredible achievement, and I'll let
That's
you do
okay.
that. Mr. Horton, the webpage, if you'll pass on to Hillary and all of those that had input in that, I love that. It's the large scrolling headlines. It's very user-friendly. Debbie Buchanan, okay. Everyone who had a piece of that I really, it's looking nice, and I love that. It mentioned that there's webpage people at schools that we're gonna tie in, so it's gonna look uniformed. That's gonna be awesome right there. Today, and I know we just approved the charter for the renewal of the academy, but I went today to listen to their open house, and David Schmidt, and I remember him when he was just a little bitty one, and he joined us from Walton County. Excited that he's going to be in Okaloosa County, but I was very impressed with their orientations. First time I've been over there to kind of see the school. there was a strong, strong emphasis on the parent involvement, and they expect parents to be there. I mean, I was, like I said, very impressed with that. And if you get a chance, colleagues, go by there, let things settle down a little bit, give them some time and some weeks. But very impressed with what I saw, and we do welcome Mr. Schmidt and his team. And I think the last thing we mentioned, school starts on August the 10th, and I just ask everyone out there to please drive carefully. Our little ones and big ones are excited, and they're not watching for you, so I need you to watch for them. But as you said, there's a lot of electricity in the air, a lot of positive feelings going on. We always have challenges, but as a group and as a team and colleagues, we will work through those, holding hands and working together. So we're excited feels like a normal year this year. I know we talked about first time in a long time, feels like a normal year. So that's it. Thank you, Mr. Bryant.
Thank you, Ms. Gardner. Ms. Sabanchek?
Yeah, well, this morning I was a guest out at Flores Elementary, and so excited. It's the first time I've seen the final phase of their single point of entry. I'd seen it while they were working on it. It is fabulous. Where's Mr. Linder? Way to go. I mean, it is so nice. And you know what's, not only you look at it, it's nice, but it was palpable what you could feel, the teachers and the students. It's amazing what your environment really does, and those floors, and then just the whole decor and all the wonderful things that they have. And so I just want to again thank our public for giving us their confidence and voting for that half-cent sales tax, because and I think they're seeing it. Miss Massey, the principal there, told me in their open house that they've had in, the parents have been very excited to see this. So I'm glad that we're doing open house in our schools so they can see the work we've done. A lot of schools still have a lot of work, but it's nice to actually see where your money is going, something tangible. So just want to say I'm so excited for them. The teachers were excited. They were doing professional development today, and like you said, it's great to get back and really see a normal education setting, and it was exciting to do that. And I don't want to steal your thunder, but sure did enjoy that band thing Friday night, and I'll let you talk more about the big red machine, but that was a lot of fun. Thank
Can't you just sense the pride in when the teachers are walking in and parents and students,
Yeah.
the pride that they see in the improvements that have been made?
Yep,
That's
absolutely.
great to see.
Thank you, Ms. Sabanchek.
Yep.
Dr. Kelly?
Okay, well, I certainly do want to extend congratulations to our STEM Academy that was named the #1 public middle school in the U.S. by U.S. News. The #1 public middle school. Let that sink in. The #1 public middle school. That is just awesome. And of course, if you go out there, you can see why. You can experience why they were named that. I want to also just take a minute to brag on our new leaders. I know it's been said to me, you guys appointed a lot of new administrators this year, and we have. But when you go out there where they are placed, they are so excited and they're so proud to be able to have that opportunity to show off what their abilities are and what they've been groomed up to be here in our district. And so I'm very proud of them, and I'm very proud that they have had the opportunity here in our district, and I know they're going to be great. They are just swelling with pride for what they can do, and I am for them as well. So I'll say congratulations to them. And lastly, I thought that my colleagues might appreciate an article that was sent to me today. As you all know, I belong to dozens of professional organizations, but this article is the new release. I think it was released yesterday, the Senate's budget, and the back page is a chart showing the categoricals and how much higher they are in some areas, but as you all know from decades of experience now, sometimes it's a trade-off, so we have more money in some areas, but we are getting less in others. So I just thought you would appreciate that. And
Thank
that's
you
all
for
I
that.
have tonight.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Dr. White?
Thank you, Chairman Bryant. Well, and I know that you will talk about the big red machine night that we
I
attended.
wanted to, but I held on.
I know, so I'll do the same.
Always a
and-
bulldog.
And the only thing I guess I'll share with the board and the public is that it's a big time in the White family tomorrow. Is our number one grandson will be an entering kindergartner, and will attend his first orientation. And I well remember that the kindergartner teachers used to tell me, now, Principal White, later on in the morning now, you come down and help us get the kids all in class and help the moms and dads find their cars so we can go ahead and go about our business. And I just hope they don't have to do that with us. But it certainly is a big event in our household, and there'll be another member of the White family as a customer in the Okaloosa public school system. So I just wanted to share that, and there'll be a little restlessness, I'm sure, tomorrow, and then certainly the next day as we think about maybe even riding a school bus. Right? So that'll be a
Typically, we
big
had
event.
more parents crying, grandparents crying than we
That's the
did
way it
students.
goes.
I was gonna say, are you and
That's the
Connie
way it
going to the
is.
Boohoo breakfast?
I don't know if they'll let us in.
Yeah, so they may have to be
They'll
running
probably
y'all,
have to run us off.
running you off, that's what I was gonna say. Yep.
Yeah, but that's it. Thank you, Chair.
All right,
That's
thank
great.
you. Thank you, Dr. White. And thank you for allowing me to speak about the Big Red Machine.
Yeah, let's
They
hear
did
it.
a great job the other night, but I couldn't help but notice all the new instruments that they had out there. And Mr. Chambers, thank you
Yes.
for taking a vested interest in the arts. Those sousaphones, I called them tubas, but they were called sousaphones. Tells you I wasn't a band parent. So, and then they had new drums. Really looked really good. I mean, they shine bright in the light. So, but congratulations to all of our band programs. And it was also kind of interesting. They announced, the middle school band leaders that were there. And, I think it's pretty awesome that Shoal River was able to hire a legend in the Okaloosa County School
Yes.
District when it comes to band, and that was Mr. Stedman. So it was nice to see him there and being able to continue his dedication to music in our program, and it's nice to have him up on the north end. So we appreciate
Yeah,
that.
they're lucky to have him.
And finally, with it being the start of school, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has helped make it possible. And like Ms. Gardner said, I know I visited all 11 of the schools that I represent last week, and I could feel that energy, that excitement. Went to a couple of open houses, one in Laurel Hill, just to see everybody so excited to get going. We have a couple more tomorrow that I'll be attending, but just to see and feel the energy in there. So I'm really excited about this year and how much I think it's going to be a great year. All right, so now we'll move down to section 16, and this is the 2-minute version of public comment. And we do have a couple of cards here. And I think Mr. Marian, I think yours was first, so I'll let you come for 2 minutes. And again,
Craig Marion, still the same
yes, sir.
location. I'll finish where I left off. Yesterday, a neighbor came and asked if our daughter was found at fault as a result of the movie. There is a massive disinformation campaign in this community due to social media and by school district employees, some of which are still in this room. And it needs to stop. I would assume there are other teachers that have an inaccurate understanding of the situation, and now my daughter, in less than 36 hours, has to walk into a school being attacked by a school board member, by slanderous, defamatory lies propagated during school business and on her campaign, and further propagated on school grounds. Dr. Kelly, you owe this.
Please address me, sir. Please address me.
Your vice chairman owes my family, my daughter, and this community an apology right now. I know I'm not going to get it. So I just want everyone to know about the rules here. We have Dr. McGinnis read these rules, but take a look. There's a school board policy 0106 that says you have a right to speak. It doesn't cuff you. Florida statute that they list at the top of that says that they can remove you if you interfere. Everything else that's on the back of the blue card and on the rules are voted on by school board members. Be accountable to your electorate, be available, and for blessed sakes, if you make a mistake, just admit to it. It's not that hard. It's kind of sad that you have to come in here and find out after you address it that there was a problem with last school board meeting. If there was a rogue employee that went off and violated our constitutional rights, it would have been nice to hear that at the start of the meeting and say, hey, we made a mistake. Somebody overstepped their bounds. Instead, we never know if that actually would have got brought up if I wouldn't have brought that up in the meeting. That's the persona you guys have in the community. You're not available, you'll never admit you're wrong, and nobody wants to come stand in front of you because they got to go through the grinder.
Thank you, Mr. Marion. All right, so we do have one more, and Miss Marian, you'll have your 2 minutes.
Hi, the same name and address as before. I do want to thank you guys for talking about the mics being muted. However, I do want you to know that there is an issue in this district, obviously, that you need to be transparent about this with the public, that it shouldn't just be coming forward when I come and talk about it. We write newspaper articles and do guest appearances and stuff, and we talk about good things. The public wants to know about the bad things because they want to be part of the solution. I hope you are hearing me tonight. The second thing I have is a request for the status of the return of the unredacted excerpts that Diane Kelly texted to Ken Nielsen of Crestview Community TV, as was revealed in my records request, and also via the letter that you had sent to me, Mr. Chambers, that notified us of this FERPA violation. The third thing that I have tonight is I would like to, since you talked about the muted mic, I would like to do a public records request investigating the result. I want to know the investigative results and the discipline for the school district employee who muted the mic, and the public comments at the last school board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we'll go around the room real quick. Dr. Hale, Ms. Lightbourne, Mr. Horton, Ms. Perry. All right, this meeting's adjourned.